Hey everyone, this is Raga. Welcome back to my channel. And as the title of this video suggests, today I'm going to be talking about the step 1 of the USMLE and all about its preparation and what worked out best for me in the given timeline that I had. So firstly, I took my USMLE Step 1 in January of 2016, which is this year. And the reason for that is that the Step 1 was not the first step that I took. The first step that I took was the USMLE Step 2 CK, because for many foreign medical graduates, they assume, myself included, we assume that it's probably better to take the USMLE Step 2 CK because our clinical knowledge and our clinical experience in medical school will help us score a better score in the USMLE Step 2 CK if we took that step first. So that is what I did. I took the USMLE Step 2 CK first, and then I took the USMLE Step 1 in January of this year, and then I took the USMLE Step 2 CS in March of 2016. From my experience, I obviously have come to a conclusion of whether that was or was not a good choice to take the Step 2 CK first rather than the Step 1. So I will make a separate video to talk about what I think now that I'm done with the steps. I will tell you what I think is the best option for you in regards to which step to take first. And this is considering if you are a foreign medical graduate and you're taking all of your steps after you graduate. So stay tuned and I will hopefully post a video about that. Now, with regards to my preparation for the USMLE Step 1, I had studied and I had watched the videos from Kaplan, and I'm sure all of you know what videos I'm talking about. I did watch the lecture videos, and obviously they come with lecture notes as well, but I don't know about you guys, but I am a very slow reader, and if I had to watch the videos and read all of the lecture notes, it would have taken me a very long time to finish with my preparation. And therefore, I decided to just stick with the Kaplan videos, and I think that worked out perfectly for me because I feel when I watch a video, the animation of the professor and the way they sometimes joke about certain things on the video, and that makes you remember and retain information about that topic. And that really helped me in the exam, and I even remembered many things from the videos because of their animation and the way they joked around about certain topics. And I think that that really helped me in my exam. So I started with the Kaplan videos, and as I was watching, there would be probably many things that I was not familiar with or that I was not aware of. And when it came to that, I would start making notes in my notepad so that I could probably go back to those notes closer to my exam and review the things that I watched in the videos, because it's obviously not possible for you to watch all the videos again. I've seen many people mentioning on forums that they watch the videos twice or thrice. That's very amazing to me because I personally could not do that. I could barely finish all the videos once. So what I did was so this is my binder. Ignore the name on the binder, it's my sister's. But I started filing all the papers or the notes that I was creating. So I have both my USMLE Step 2 CK notes and my Step 1, which I've divided into two halves. And just to quickly show you what I'm talking about, so this is the USMLE Step 1, and here you can see that's immunology, and this whole pocket consists of my immunology notes, and then I have microbiology and so on. And just to give you an idea of what my notes consisted of, I have my behavioral science notes right here, and as you can see, it's just the notes of the things that I thought was very important and that I would not be able to retain unless I had made a note of it. And so here you have all about the true positives and false false negatives and all of that stuff. And I go on as these are the notes from the videos, by the way. So it keeps going on and on with the things that I thought was important, and I think it was pretty accurate because with what I saw in the exam, in the step 1, with regards to each of these subjects, I felt like many of the things that I had written down in my notes was tested. And obviously these notes, I went through these notes right before my exam, and it really helped me a lot. So I would really suggest that you guys make notes like these while you're watching the Kaplan videos, so that you'll have one place to go to right before the exam when you're in a rush and you don't have much time left, and you can just quickly skim through your notes and be able to get a quick overview of what you watched in the Kaplan videos. So the reason I had these separate notes for the Kaplan videos is because I reserved my book, which is my next study source that I'm going to talk about. Obviously, all of you know about this book. It's so famous, so I'm sure I don't even need to mention. But this is the first aid of the USMLE Step 1. And this is an excellent book, I have to say. More than the Kaplan videos, I would say it's very important that you finish this book, because in the Kaplan videos, from what I felt when I watched them and from my experience with the exam, I noticed that a lot of the information that was mentioned in the Kaplan videos was excessive. Things that will help you understand the topic, but it's not necessarily going to be tested in the exam. So the Kaplan videos will basically help you get a better understanding of the subject, rather than focus on how you get a good score by answering the questions in the exam. But on the other hand, your first aid of the USMLE Step 1 would be so specific for the exam questions and help you focus on the topics that are very high yield. And when I say high yield, I mean the topics that are most frequently tested on in these exams. So when you open the book, you will see that only the important information is mentioned. You will not find all the information from the Kaplan videos here, but you will find most of the important information. And trust me, guys, I will talk about my experience in the exam in a separate video, but I really felt that the first aid was very, very accurate with what they consider high yield. And many of the things that I studied in this book was definitely tested in the exam. I can confidently say that. So what I did was I would watch the videos on a daily basis, subject by subject, before watching the videos of a certain subject. So let's say microbiology. Before watching the videos of microbiology, I would quickly read the microbiology topic. Wait, this is biochemistry, but I would quickly read about the microbiology section in this book, quickly read it, and I will not study it in a way that I'm trying to memorize everything, but I'll try to understand as much as I can in my first read, and then I move on to the Kaplan videos of microbiology. And as I'm going through the microbiology lectures, I remember many of the things that I read in first aid. And sometimes I would come back to first aid and I would look up what I think I remember or what I feel is repeated in the video. And obviously that was a very good way to study, I felt. And later, once I was done with all of the videos, I would come back to that section and read it again. So as you can see, when I read a certain topic, obviously I like using highlighters and I highlight whatever I think is very important. And I also put a little tags, paper tags, to mark the areas that I want to come back to, which I don't feel too confident about. So I'll give you an example. For example, one of the tags I've put is for all the vitamins and all the information that's required about the vitamins. And it's not because it's super difficult to remember, but it's only because I felt that the vitamins were a very important topic in biochemistry, and I needed to refresh on that. And they do ask a lot of questions with relation to vitamin deficiencies in the exam. So I considered this very important, and I wanted to come back to that. And obviously another thing that I've tagged was the rate-limiting enzyme of of the biochemical pathways or biochemical reactions. Obviously, that's something that none of us can remember in the first run, and we need to obviously keep looking at these things to remember the enzyme names and what reaction it catalyzes. I really felt that the first aid really helped me prepare and helped me focus on the important high-yield information and topics for the USMLE Step 1. So my suggestion is, even if you feel that you don't have time for both the Step 1 and all of the Kaplan videos, I would say do the Kaplan videos for the topics that you feel you're most weakest on. So if you feel that you are weak in biochemistry, for example, do the biochemistry Kaplan videos, but it's very important that you finish this entire book, cover to cover, because this will be a book that is so accurate with regards to what is high yield, and you will find that a lot of the information in this book is very highly tested on in the exam. But obviously, if you have enough time and you are able to do that, it would be best to do all of the Kaplan videos and finish the entire book on the USMLE Step 1, which is the first aid. Now, the third, and I would say the most important study source for the Step 1 of the USMLE is USMLEworld.com. And I'm sure many of you already know what this is, but for those of you who don't know, this is an online question bank that you can buy, which is a very good learning tool. Now, remember, I'm saying it's a very good learning tool, not a testing tool. Even though its layout is very similar to the test, the actual exam, it is not meant to test you, but it's meant to help you learn. So it consists of, I think, around 2,000 plus questions, and it's very extensive, obviously, and it covers all subjects. And for those of you who are taking the step or taking a step for the first time, I would say from the very beginning, take tests of 10 questions each. That's how I started off. I initially made tests for myself from these question banks, initially of 10 questions each, and I would put random questions, not just subject-based, but I used to put random questions and timed, and do 10 questions at a time initially. And once you feel you've got the hang of it and you're able to do 10 questions in the given amount of time, then go for a whole block, which is 44 questions, which is the maximum number of questions you can make in a practice test. But don't feel sad when you see a bad score in these practice tests, because remember that the USMLE World is not a testing tool, it's a study tool. So make sure that you read the explanations of both the right and the wrong answers that you get, because it is not about getting something right and just forgetting about it, because there's always something, even in a question that you got correct, that you will not know about. Because they talk not just about that question in particular, they talk about the whole disease, for example. So if they're talking about phenylketonuria, they will be talking about everything to do with phenylketonuria, not just the question that they had asked you. So I would say it's very important to read the explanations of both the right and the wrong answers when you do these tests. And I would also suggest that you guys, if you can afford it, to do these question banks online and not offline, because it's more accurate when it's online and you will have the most updated questions. And obviously, for those of you who have already been through this process, you know that even USMLE World constantly edits their questions and constantly are making changes with regards to the questions based on how the USMLE exams are progressing and changing. So while you're reading the explanations of these questions and answers in the USMLE World, it's very helpful to make little annotations of whatever you read in your first aid. And I'll give you a little example here. So as you can see here, so this is a pathology. So when I did perhaps a question in pathology and I was reading the explanation, there would probably be something that I didn't know. So I would go to that topic in the first aid and I will go to that respective topic and I will look for whether that information is written or mentioned here. And if it isn't mentioned, I would write down anywhere that I can. I would write the information that I got from the question, and I would write it down here. And I also wrote a question ID number. I don't know if you guys can see, but yeah, I wrote the question ID number. Obviously, that's only going to help you as long as you still have the subscription to your question bank. And obviously, this was to help me at that time only. And so I could, in case I felt like I was revising and I wanted more information about this disease or this topic, I would go back to my question bank and type in this question ID and read more about the disease. And this really helps you in the end, as I mentioned, because in the end you will not be having much time. So the only thing that you'll be doing closer to your exam is you'll be reading your notes and you will be quickly skimming through first aid. And I think this is the best way to revise everything that you've studied over however long you've been studying. So when you have these notes that are written on the margins of your exam, of your first aid, it makes it very easy for you to just quickly skim through your book and read notes which are from your USMLE World, and you'll be getting your first aid information, and on the side you'll also be having your respective notes for that subject. So that's my take on the preparation for the USMLE Step 1, and this worked out really well for me. And with regards to the timeline, I would say you should give a minimum of 4 months of devoted study for the USMLE Step 1. If you're working at the same time, it might take a little longer because, as you know, the USMLE Step 1 is much more extensive and it's a lot of basic science. So for those of you who are foreign medical graduates and you've already graduated, it can be a little rusty, the basic science, as it was for me when I was going through my my notes and doing the videos and the USMLE Step 1 of the first aid. I realized that a lot of the information was very rusty for me, and I had to really revise a lot of things that I had forgotten from medical school. And but obviously these sources really helped me catch up on all the information that I needed and all the information that I thought I had forgotten, and it really helped me prepare. I took around 4 months, but I was working at the same time, so it was sort of a simultaneous study for me. And at the end of 4 months, when I was closer, I think when I was about 10 days away from my exam, I took 1 NBME. For my USMLE Step 2 CK, I had taken 2 NBMEs, and I'll obviously talk about that in my USMLE Step 2 CK video. But in this case, the NBMEs, for those of you who don't know what the NBMEs are, they are also an online portal through which they will help you test yourself. Now, this is a testing tool. It's not a study tool. It's a testing tool because they do not give you the explanations for your answers. They may tell you which questions you got right and wrong, depending on what kind of a subscription you take, but they will not give you an explanation. So you just know that it's wrong and you need to find out yourself, or go on a forum on USMLE forums and try to find out the right answer for that question. So yeah, and also with your subscription for the USMLE World, you will also get 2 free question banks with it, depending on what subscription you took again. And I took those 2 tests as well before my exam. If you guys want to know more about the testing tools, about the NBMEs, and about the self-assessments of the USMLE World question bank, let me know in the comments bar below, and I will try to make a separate video dedicated for the NBMEs and the self-assessments for both Step 1 and the Step 2 CK. And yes, that's all that I have to say about the preparation for the USMLE Step 1. If you guys have any questions or queries regarding the preparation or about this video, please leave a comment in the comments bar below, and I will try to reply to all of you and try to answer your questions. And again, I'm mentioning if you have any suggestions, please let me know if your suggestions for future videos or any specific topic that you want me to talk about, and I will try my best to make a video on your suggestion. And hope you guys are having a nice day, and I'll see you again very soon.